Matsalane Mamabolo, South Africa's most successful soccer writer.
You Pirates fans were looking for Rulani to come. You guys are unrealistic. Rulani Mukwena, Pirates.
3 times winner of Premiership Soccer Writer of the Year and 3 times winner of the Sports Writer of the Year. Every day he takes you inside SA Soccer, exclusive to omniaudio.africa. Weekdays, 9:30 a.m.
Break it down. Africa's premier sports destination.
One of the talking points always in South African football, particularly this season, has been Kaizer Chiefs. You know Nasreddin Nabi better than most of us because you followed him when he was still in Tanzania. Chiefs did not do that well under him in the first year. I remember you saying, some of your articles and when we spoke, saying it's how he starts. He always starts slow. He got to Tanzania, he started slow, and then he won championships. Did you think, or do you think he's still the right man for the job? A lot of us look at what Chiefs have done, started very well, yet he was not there. I'm one of those who, one of the things I don't like about him is this whole, he speaks French and then you don't hear him, it gets lost in translation. You know Nabi. Do you think Chiefs did well to keep him? Because I still believe that the story that was written by BBK that Chiefs were going to fire Nabi was true, that had he not won the Nedbank, they would have gotten rid of him. He stayed on. What's your take on Kaizer Chiefs this season? Have they done, what's his name? Khalil kept saying, no, the coach is in contact. But when you are a normal person like me and the coach is not there, yes, they can call each other, but now something says the boys are playing because this one is not there. Just talk to me about Kaizer Chiefs and Nasreddin Nabi. What do you foresee? What do your make is of just how they've started the season?
Look, very interesting. I'll take you back to his tenure in Tanzania. He finds the young Africans that's not won anything in 4 years. So because I keep asking him, so coach, where are you in terms of your project? And because I keep comparing with how he turned around young Africans. And the one thing that he keeps saying is, last season, he kept saying was that when a club has not won anything in 10 years, a lot has to change, right? The recruitment has to change, the playing personnel has to change, but most importantly, the mentality of the players has to change. And so he said, and I remember early in, I think maybe 3 months into his tenure as Kaizer Chiefs coach, and he said to me, hey, you know what? It's going to take long to change the mentality of these players. I said, why? He said because of how a lot of them are wired and how they respond to how we want to play, so it's going, and he was clear, he said, it's going to take long. And he said, we're going to struggle, this season. But the one thing that we must get into CAF Confed, and obviously, and I think in his first conversation with Kaizer Chiefs, he told them that with this group of players and what you are asking me to do, it's not going to be possible, right?
What were they asking him? What were they asking of him? To win the championship?
Right. No. They basically said, I think the target was for him to finish in the top 4. Okay. Yes, it was to finish in the top 4. Yes. That was it. Yeah. So now, then they said, look, we're going to buy, players, will invest in the squad and all that. But obviously, when you look at the kind of business they did last season, it didn't really address the major issues. Kaizer Chiefs has had a scoring problem in the last. If you go back, let's say 4 seasons, Kaizer Chiefs has not scored more than 35 goals in a season in the league. Yeah, so that less than 35 goals says to me they score 1 goal per game, right? Yeah. So I don't think they addressed that striking problem last season, right? Now, come to, towards the end of the season, yes, there's Nedbank. He wins Nedbank Cup, which I agree with you, saved his job because he would have been gone. He had it not been for the Nedbank Cup. And then afterwards, the club then makes, goes into the transfer market. They've signed 11 players. And I think they've tried to address the issues. because I still think in terms of their striking options, I still think they could have done better. Especially when you look at someone like Flavio, I feel they could have signed a better striker who will give a better return. But when you look at the way that they've started now, you get the sense that a few things have changed, right? I see a team whose mentality has changed. There's been a change of mentality. You look at how they played against Sundowns, even the other games that they've played. They lose the ball, they immediately fight back to win the ball back. They literally for 90 minutes they played with intensity. I think also down to the preseason that they had. I think they had a very good conditioning coach that they worked with during a preseason. And then you also look at defensively, they've improved a lot. Last season, and I was actually just laughing because last season you'd find a scenario where Miguel is dragged to the wing to cover for an overlapping fullback, and the person that he plays with is a bit too far. I felt the distance was a bit they were a bit too far. Each time one was stretched, the other one was isolated, and often resulted in a goal. They've defended well. I think you see in the first 5 games they've gone without conceding a goal. And they've not lost a game. So I see a team that is in the right track, but they still need to work on their final third because they're not convincing when it comes to converting goals, which has been a Kaizer Chiefs problem for the last couple of seasons. And that's why I feel they've not really addressed that striking issue.
No, I mean,
I would say, and I'd say the last thing, go fetch Kanyisa Mayo and bring him in there.
Of course, he's free there.
Exactly.
I'm surprised actually that you're making a good point. When we grew up, the one thing that has always defined Kaizer Chiefs is a lethal striker. Over the years, they've had Fani Madida, Shane McGregor. Before that, your Samora Kulu. It's a club that is renowned to have a guy who's going to give you double digits goals. I'm actually shocked that what's his name? I nearly said Les Grobler, showing my age. Les Grobler's son, Bradley Grobler. They didn't go for him because that guy. You look at the stats. We are all excited about Shalulile scoring 130 goals, overtaking Nomvete. But Bradley Grobler is just a few goals behind, and here's a player who was continuously injured. He's always suffered injuries, and you sit and think, had Bradley been fit throughout, he probably would be there. Yet, when the super sport thing happened, a club like Kaizer Chiefs didn't snap him up. It's something that talks to what their scouting, or he doesn't fit how they want to play.
Look, I feel he definitely would fit in into how they want to play, and I think when a team, like I said, when a team has gone for 10 years without winning anything, you want to look at how they've been recruiting. Of course, there is improvement. They've done very well in terms of their recruitment now. But I feel someone like Bradley could have come in, but maybe they would have looked at his injury history and also his age now. So maybe to think, hey, okay, we signed this player, and then
how much
he's
do
injured
we get out
after
of him?
season. How much do so maybe then then the idea then becomes to go and get a younger striker with the same qualities, but most importantly, who can convert the chances that they create. Because if you look at last season, Kaizer Chiefs created a lot of chances, but they struggled to convert. Even this season, they're creating chances, but the conversion rate is not really impressive. So Kanyisa Mayo again.
They should go for him. Talk to. I know you have access to Coach Nabi. Perhaps talk to him and see what they do. Now we speak of them. They've started the season well. Kaizer Chiefs fans get easily excitable. They are suddenly believing they can win the league. Can they, based on what you've seen of them, what you've seen of the rest of the other club, your champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, Orlando Pirates, who are, main challengers? Do you think Chiefs can sustain this great start and get to winning the league or even top 3?
Look, we've got to be honest. So when you look at the games that they've won now, right, you look at the goals that they've scored now, for me, I'm not convinced. Yes, there is progress there somewhere. There's gonna be a day where you will struggle to get that one goal to win a game. If you do concede, then you've lost the game. So I don't think they are there yet to win a league. Top four, yes, they can win top four. But also, I think the other important factor that could turn things in their favor, that could change, what I'm saying now. If Igodaro comes in and he's able to give them those goals, if Velebai becomes available with his issues resolved, and he becomes the player that I think he is, with the pace, takes on, defenders, can whip in a cross, can also, has decent shooting technique, can get a few goals as well. That could actually turn things around. And most importantly, Lebo Maboy.
Yes.
I feel he could be. Look, he could prove to be their best signing if he stays injury free and is able to do what we know him to be capable of. So I think those factors could actually tilt things in their favor. But at the present moment, I think for me, I'd say the issue of scoring goals remains a challenge.
I mean, Lebo Mabuye, he's excited. He's going back to the club where it all started for him. He speaks about having been there as a junior. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. I'm not saying he's not good, but I don't know. I sometimes think a bit overrated. He's okay, but you sound excited about him. I looked at what he, when he came in, I suppose also, when you come in and you're somebody's son, he's dead, a lot of people, the comparisons are always there. What did you make of his time at Sundowns? Because for me, he was a bit part player. He comes in, plays, does well, but disappears. What is it about him now that makes you believe he can do well at Kaizer Chiefs?
Yeah. Look, I think there's quite a number of factors. Also, you look at the fact that obviously under Pitso Msimana, we saw him play quite a lot. And I'm sure you'd remember that hat-trick, that hat-trick that broke Kaizer Chiefs fans. But obviously, with coaching changes, his appearances for Sundowns became a bit limited. But in terms of qualities, he's a very interesting player. I was actually looking at his stats in terms of the positions that he has played. He's a versatile player. Technically very, very good. I've seen him play right back at Sundowns. I've seen him play as a 6. I've seen him play on the wing. I've seen him play as a false 9. I've seen him play behind the striker. And where I think Kaizer Chiefs could use him is behind the striker, right? Because he also has goals in him. I think that's the most important thing. I think if you look at maybe at Sundowns, his goal contribution, I know he scored, I think, about 23 goals, for Sundowns. For a midfield, I think it's a decent return. So in a Kaizer Chiefs team, he also brings that experience as well. He's an experienced player. They're going to CAF. You look at the fact that Kaizer Chiefs last season heavily relied on young players, especially up front, sometimes who have no experience, So now when you bring in someone like Lebo, he's a good reference point for these youngsters to look at. People like Mdu, Mfundo Vilagazi or Samgelo Zwanes. But he also adds quality in that, if you're not starting him and you've probably, let's say, started a Sereno, you've got good cover on the bench. Like, he literally comes in and he still maintains the same level. His ability to connect midfield and the striker, very, very important, and his goal scoring ability as well, very, very important. Because if I go back to Nabi's teams in Tanzania, in ASFA, I noticed that the midfielders would contribute a lot of the goals.
Okay. Now look, let's watch and see.